Okay. Good evening. Good evening. So I thought I'd get on here and talk about the vocal aspect of a soprano. And the type of soprano in particular is the spinto voice. I've had some of you come and ask, in some of the comments, I've had some of you ask me to tell you more about the spinto voice, some of the qualities of a spinto, to know if you're a spinto, etc. And well, there's a variety of different styles of singers. And when it comes to the spinto is the soprano who can hold it down and hold it together within their lower passaggio, which is the lower range of your voice, the mid range, and the high range. So we can get up there as well as sing really low. And a lot of the times, like I have noticed a clear sign of a spinto. Usually they have, which I have gone through this, have a very strong low register and a high register, right? But in between, when I was much younger, I had a hard time sustaining my chest voice, and it was because I needed more training. That was what that was about. And so we're forever constantly training our ranges, because sometimes we actually can lose some of that if not trained, right? Yes, that middle. Hey, Nicole. So it's one of those things that we really have to work on, and not just saying that, oh, well, you should only work on one section. Like, we really have to work through all sections of our voice. And actually, that's really the trick to how to grow your voice. Like, I've had some people who say, oh, I can only sing alto. And I'm like, so you say now, but after I work with you, your voice is going to be able to expand. You're going to be able to sing higher notes. And I honestly feel like your voice it can be as good as you will allow it to be. Yes, there are some things with your anatomy that can also pull for a decision on that aspect as well, obviously. But I mean, there are also other things that the voice can do if you allow it to be trained. If I had never gone on to get more training from my vocal coaches, I would have stayed as a second soprano. I had no idea that I could sing. I had no idea I could sing a D6, right? I had no idea. On a good day, I can get it to an F above that. But it's just one of those things where you cannot just sit there and let somebody else make that decision for you. Hi. So I'm going to just go through an exercise that I like to do, that I've been doing recently, that has really helped me to stretch my voice a bit and learn how to stay consistent with my sound. And not lose any of that richness along the way. Okay, so you start low, and then you start an octave above that lowest note that you started on, and you descend down, and you descend down 2 octaves, right? So I'm starting on an F below middle C. You guys, excuse me, I forgot my B flat in the key of F. All right. So make sure also when you're doing exercises like this, that you either have someone who's playing for you who's really familiar with the circle of fifths, and or which is something I can create for you guys, is a recording of those scales being played. I can add them to my stand store. If you like, you can go on there and purchase it. Purchase a recording that you can practice with. Okay. So let me do that one again for you. Notice how my voice is very warm and rich there. I'm going to hop up 2 octaves. And something that I learned recently, which I thought was really cool, was how when you get to a certain point where in your range, especially for the chest, if you lean forward, especially in those lower ranges, it actually helps you to start using those lower muscles in your back. So when I do that, I actually noticed that I could sustain much better in my lower range. So try that. Try that actively. And then what I do is, thank you, Nicole. What I do is when I get to my higher range, I like to lean back or make sure I'm standing up, more to a normal posture, which allows for me to be able to get to those higher notes. Okay. So I'm gonna go up a little bit, half step. Okay. Go up to the G. One of the things that I try not to do too is when I get down past that middle C, I kind of want to drop a little bit. I do. I really want to drop a little bit because I want to really, I guess really because of the fact that, of course, I am still training. I'm still young, and I really want to just let it just roll. And as I'm getting older, I'm learning, that I can't just let that fall like that, right? And I have to be aware of what vowel I'm using and where it's placed and how I'm using my my larynx, how I'm using the root of my tongue to keep that vowel in place. Otherwise, I'll lose it. I don't want to do that. I'm huge on using the larynx for creating vowels. I've noticed that when you use your tongue and you're mindful of where your vowels come from, which is not this part of the tongue, but the root of the tongue, when you're aware of that when you're singing, it makes it so much easier for you to actually sing. When you start off, even as a new singer, and you're having what we call glottal attacks, when you start singing and there's like that hit, where the air in the vocal cords are just not doing its thing, right? You really want to go based off of the root of the tongue, not worrying about so much everything else when we're trying to just push that sound. We don't really have to push our sound. Okay, I'm gonna go a little higher. On an A. I notice when I get about to that C, that E4, my voice kind of wants to, right? And so I just have to keep doing this. This is what singing is working out. Like practicing your voice is a workout. It is not just something you just do just to sound good just because. There is a huge meaning behind it for the voice. And it's just like, an athlete. We're vocal athletes. That's basically what we are. So, you're training to perform a marathon or perform for the Olympics. That's what we do as opera singers. We don't just get up there and just sing and notes just fly out of our mouths. I think some people think that, But that's not how that works. We actually have to put in a lot of training behind a lot of what we do. And my goal is to make sure that I get right on that note that I started with at the bottom. Ooh, what's going on down here? Hold on one second here. Yes, exactly. Very true. It won't settle the same without training and mindfulness. Oh my gosh. I can only imagine. You know, it's one of those things where, I mean, heck, really at any age, right? But you know what amazes me is, and this is one of the reasons why I love to train my voice, is because I know people who are in their 60s or in their 70s and they still sound great. Like they don't even sound like what one would think their age is. They sound better than some people who are in their 20s. You know? And it's because they kept the youthfulness of their voice. It's the body works the same way, whether you take care of it physically on the exterior or the interior. It works the same way. If you take care of it, if you work those muscles, your voice will remain healthy. It will remain consistent and stable, right? And it's a journey. It's not something that, you know, everybody's the same thing, right? Everybody has their ups and downs or whatnot, but we learn how to get over them. And by doing that, part of it is working it out. I'm going to go up to a B natural. So right there, I just had to remind myself that when I go up, I don't think this way, right? I don't think forward, I think back. And this is something that I actually teach in my 5-day my 5-day singers boot camp. I actually teach you how to do that, so that if you're looking to be able to achieve a higher range without strain and stress, that is something that I do teach in there. So if you're interested in joining me, or you know someone who's interested in learning how to improve their voice and sing, and they want those fundamental necessities, tell them to join me this coming Monday at 7:30 p.m. I have a boot camp that starts this coming Monday in the evening at 7:30. And I also am including a special gift. And that special gift is my daily singers planner. It's a journal that I created because I needed something to help me align myself with my day-to-day as a singer and allow myself to stay mindful of my emotions, how I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, how I'm taking care of myself. Self-care really does matter for a singer. We tend to drift off if we're not kept accountable. So I created that journal so that we as singers can actually hold ourselves accountable and be aware, be mindful of what we're doing. So when we're practicing, there's something in there that will attribute to some aspect of your life, even though you're working on your music, as well as what you're working on. So you can also check that out. Again, in the link is in my description of this video. So if you just check out my stand store, you'll see all of that in there. But anywho, let's move on up to this C. Okay, so this is middle C, you guys. I'm going to go all the way up to that high C, the 2 C's above. And the trick for me is just to make sure that I do not let that sound go forward. I used to want to do that so bad. I used to want to go pop, move it forward, right? But no, you got to send it back. And at that point, I kind of almost want to go forward, right? Yes, it's almost 10 o'clock and I'm popping those C's, right? Oh, but that's what we do, right? We can't be playing around. I mean, listen, when you're performing at an opera house, we perform in the evenings, right? So I mean, we got to be ready. We got to be ready. So I'll go up a half step. That's a C sharp. I went up a half step. And that, as a matter of fact, I can't remember the name of the song. Oh my gosh. You guys, I remember when I was in my undergrad, there's this song that has this high D in it. And this was actually the first time I had gotten used to singing that high D above high C. And I'm gonna tell you like this, I didn't know I could sing that note. I had no idea. I was just like, oh my gosh, am I gonna make it? But I did. And they were like, that's Irma's note, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll take it, but hey, I'm gonna tell you, it definitely has to do with working out my voice. It's the exercises, y'all. And I do feel like, you do have to be made for that, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, but I really feel like it's more of a mental thing. Like you really have to have it in you to get yourself to that point. That's why I said earlier, I have had people who have come to me and they're like, well, I only sing alto in my church choir or in my chorus. And I'm like, okay, to me, an alto is a second soprano. So you can sing higher. I feel like second sopranos are really first sopranos. They just don't have, some of them I feel like they either don't have the inner heart necessarily because they've probably been talked out of it, or they feel like it's psychological, right? And they feel it because they hear somebody else singing a high note, they can't do it. And I'm like, no, that's not how this works. Because if you keep practicing, you actually might find that you can actually sing notes higher than them, right? And so it's really this constant thing where you have to keep working on yourself, and don't play the comparison game, please. I don't mean to sound cocky, but I have had to learn, and I've actually had voice teachers who've told me, look, there is no competition. You're either going to make yourself your own competition or you just might as well sit out the game. And I finally understand why they say that, because every singer is different. Every singer has something unique that they bring to the table, and that's a beautiful thing. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, it's not really a good idea to compare yourself to another singer. I just think that that's just crazy. There's so much that we all can contribute to music. And I love that. Thank you, Nicole. I love that what she just said. Play the instrument you are given. Right. That is it. That is the answer right there. So it's just one of those things where you just have to learn how to groom you. I would never, like, as much as I love Whitney Houston and as much as I love Leontine Price and Jesse Norman and Denise Graves, who just recently retired, by the way. They're all fabulous singers. And I'm even giving you a short list. This is nothing compared to what is out there. But as far as the list, the length of the list is huge of all of these wonderful opera singers who took the time to study their craft. They learned to build their voice, and that's what makes them unique. So when you hear someone saying, oh, I sound just like, such and such, it's like, okay, great. That's wonderful. What do you bring to the table? What have you worked on for yourself? What kind of alchemy have you done with your voice? That's what I'm looking for, right? So this is that time where we take to learn how to stretch our voice. see what kind of color our voice offers to the table, you know, because we have such unique voices and such unique gifts and abilities. And I'm gonna tell you, had I actually stopped and accepted what I was told in high school about myself, I probably would not be here. Like, I probably would not be doing what I'm doing right now. I'll never forget, there was this teacher, by the way, I went to Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, and there was this teacher in our vocal tech class. She looked at me and she was like, yeah, you'll never be able to sing coloratura because, well, for one, your voice is really heavy and you have like this very broad, shape about you. And I'm like, what? I didn't understand at the time. It was high school. I didn't get it. But listen, child. But what I figured out later on was that the teacher was lacking a whole lot of understanding when it came to the voice. And how ironic that she too has been singing opera. So I'm like, how do you sing opera but you don't know this? So strange. But anywho, I did not let that stop me, is what I'm saying. And, God led me in the right direction, and I met the correct teachers that I am meant to train with. I'm not going to make you say it, sis. I'm not going to make you say it. But I'm just glad that I'm not one of those that's just going to stop. I'm a very ambitious person. I don't stop. I keep going. And that's just the thing. I think they thought I was going to be deterred by that and just, don't go any further. But I'm glad that I keep going no matter what. And I encourage anybody who's ever told, oh, you can't do this because of a whatever they come up with kind of a reason. No, you go and you work your butt off. You keep searching and discovering yourself, even if that means that you got to pull in other, chiefs and warriors out there who know what they're talking about, and bring in some other goddesses out there who do the thing. You know what I mean? Bring them on in and allow them to help you and teach you, because they can and they will. I am definitely evidence of it. Okay? Let me see. It's astounding how many voice teachers do not expose themselves to the vast canvas of voice types in order to understand where the young voice may be headed. Listen, you are so... that's it. Because there are so many different vocal fox out there, and all we knew at that time was soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, soprano 1, soprano 2, alto 1, alto 2, etc. Right? We didn't know the difference between a dramatic soprano and a lyric soprano and a spinto soprano and a this and a that and a countertenor and I'm like, wait, what? What is this? So that's just it, is that they don't know. So because they don't know and they haven't learned, they're going to then tear people down or discourage them or say things in such a way in an attempt to, prevent them from asking and doing more research. I think that is sad, foolish, and disgusting. And let me see, they treat soloists like choir, voice and support. Yeah, it is very weird. It's very weird. And so I look at it this way. My experience at Douglas Anderson was great for the time that I needed it for. I got what I needed to get me primed for college, right? I don't regret it at all. I'm glad that I had the experience that I had, because it actually prepared me more in a lot of different ways. When, even if it came to the social aspect of what people are like, politics, stuff like that. You see it and you can't help but see it. It's a shame you have to see it when you're in high school, right? Or any kind of academic setting. I think people should have integrity. And I remember learning about integrity when I went to college for the first time. And our choir director, he was huge on people having integrity. And I'm so glad that he was very consistent at painting his brush of knowledge with us at that. And so then as we continue to branch out further into our careers in music or wherever our endeavors were, we kept that with us and we still do. And that has taught me how to handle myself better in certain arenas when it comes to music and being judged or whatever, I put it, this is why I say practicing your voice. Let me make sure I don't get too ahead of myself here. But this is why I say practicing your voice is so important, because no matter what anybody tries to say or do, when it's time for you to get on the stage, at the end of the day, whatever comes out of your mouth is going to define what kind of singer and artist you are. Doesn't matter who you're singing up against, so to speak, or singing with, so to, whatever it is, whatever comes out of your mouth is what's going to be the defining factor about you. That's just it. It's going to tell what you've been working on, what your abilities are, etc. Yeah. So again, here I am years later, and I am a spinto soprano who can sing, and I'm not letting anything hold me back. And yes, I have coloratura-like tendencies. I can't help it. It's there. And it's because of the training that I've had. I can sing coloratura. It's not a problem for me. And it's not because my voice is heavy. I learned how to make it work. Right? So glad God sent you what you needed to allow the knowledge and skill to bloom. We train the singer to sing, not to fit roles. You are a gem. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate that. And yes, and that is why I do this. I love to see other singers succeed as well. And this is why I'm bringing forth my 5-day singers bootcamp, which you can find the link to it in the description below. I want other people to know that you can sing, and I don't want people to feel discouraged, because imagine how many more beautiful singers that there are that have not been uncovered yet, all because somebody said something negative to them, or because they let self one, which I get from, I'm not going to show the book on the screen because I don't know if I've seen where some people do that and then you get they have publisher issues. But the book, The Inner Game of Music by Barry Green with Timothy Galloway, I love that book. Let me know if you've read that book. Put some high fives up there in the comments. Let me know if you've ever read The Inner Game of Music. I love that book so much. And in that book, it's like a psychological aid for a singer. So when you hear me say self-one, I'm talking about that judgmental part of you who's willing to say, that's not the right note. You can't do this. I don't know if this is the right song. Your voice is cracking. Try that again. I don't know about that note. That's not going to hit. No. Right? All the doubting. That's person one. That's self one. Okay. Now self two is you, like the authentic you, the one that wants to have fun, the one that just wants to be an artist and sing and do your thing. Just be like that free person, right? And the ability to just without any type of doubt, okay? The having fun. Hello, welcome. That is just it. Self too wants to be free. So this thing that I've been doing lately where I don't have stage fright, okay? But it's one of those things where you're battling yourself in a sense, where self one's like, yeah, you're gonna mess up that note in 5 beats, right? And you're just like, stop. So before I work, even with practice, performance, rehearsal, whatever, I tell self one to sit outside the practice room or sit outside of the audition and be quiet. It cannot come in there with me. Why? Because I don't want it to distract me, and I don't want it to take my focus off of my intention of being where I am, right? So it has to sit in a timeout outside. It cannot come in. Meanwhile, Self 2, the authentic me, is inside doing my thing. So I separate the two, but I bring Self 2 with me, myself. And I do that because I'm teaching myself I don't have to listen to that little meep on the side of my shoulder. I don't need that, you know? All that does is causes distractions, and it can cause worse outcome. You know, forgetting your words, doing this, whatever, you know, like those things that are just so traumatizing to a singer. But again, I love that book, and I highly recommend that book to anyone. They even have other variations of that book. He didn't only just write, or should I say they didn't only just write The Inner Game of Music, but he also has one called The Inner Game of Tennis. There's several different kinds for different types of situations that people could be going through in their lives. But I highly recommend that book. If you would like, I can put a link in my description so you can easily find that one as well on Amazon. But I highly recommend it. It has such a nice way of bringing you through the book. It is definitely a great way for you to guide yourself from the beginning to the end of the process. I've actually read that book. I'm actually on my third time reading that book now. And I've had that book, I want to say, since I think January or February this year. So that's how much I'm working through it, because the book is that good. And it is a necessary practice for you to grow through and improve yourself as you perform and as you groom and grow. So, but anywho, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Please feel free to share this video with anyone who you think it may help, or please feel free to share any of my resources that you think it may help someone with. I think, by the way, that the link that I put in the description might only go directly to the 5-day boot camp. I was just thinking about that. So what I'll do is I'll send my whole Stand Store link so that you can look at my other educational resources that I have also created. I also have there's this, what do you call it? I have a PDF and a audio file on my Stand Store. So like if you want to work on your voice and you want to just start having a system of warm-ups that you can work with on your own. Maybe you're not ready for the 5-day, boot camp, live with me right now, but you definitely have time to listen to something on your own. Feel free to go ahead and go on there and use them. They're going to be very helpful for you to get you used to working on your voice. My goal is to get more singers to learn how to use their voice in a healthy way and have success along in their journey. That's my goal. And I might need to go ahead and just put a number to it. Like if I could get 500 singers, within the next 6 months who can improve their voice and grow, and I can work with them, I would love to do that. So I would love to be able to hit that goal with you guys. 500 singers, okay? I know I've already touched over that number in the past. I want to do it again. I want to do it this year. But please feel free to reach out to me. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining me here, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.